check this out. A one-of-a-kind, unique flooring that you're never going to get anywhere else unless you get a Leggari DIY floor kit. We're going to show you the full step-by-step process how to install this. They're super fun, they're super easy, and you're going to learn everything right here. So enjoy the video. Alright, so he's mixing up the primer, the pigmented primer. Dump the part A into the bucket, and then he's going to add the part B. He's getting everything out he can. Everything we sell and send out in your kits is all pre-measured. Makes it really simple. It's one of the big benefits of our system. Everything's pre-measured for you, so you don't have to worry about measuring it out right, taking the time, using a bunch of extra buckets. It's good, and you don't have to get it all out either. Just get as much as you can out, and add the hardener. Same thing, just scrape as much out as you can. And he's gonna mix it up. Alright, so he's just mixing it up now, scraping the sides and the bottom. You're gonna want to mix it for 1 to 2 minutes. This stuff mixes really easy. And then we're gonna go dump it on the floor. Alright, so he's got the primer mixed up. He's got the roller tray. Garbage bag over to protect it so we don't have to clean it out when he's done. Just gonna dump that in there. Cut in all his edges, probably do about half the room, getting all his edges done, and then he's gonna get the 18-inch roller to finish out that half, and do the next half. Primers are really easy to install. Ours gives you a lot of working time. It doesn't heat up in the bucket. It's an epoxy primer, but it's made for long working time, and it covers amazing. We're just going to cut in this whole room. If you guys are doing bigger projects, you only want to do small amounts of your edges, and then roll out the floor, and then do the small amount of your edges, roll out the floor, because this stuff, once it's down on the ground, it starts setting up. Alright, so all the edges are done. Like I said, it's a small room, so we can do all the edges. Now he's going to take the 18-inch roller, get it nice and soaked. Starting in the middle, going to work that material out wall to wall. This stuff's made to go on thin, so you need to roll it out good, make sure it's nice and thin. It can be put on thick, but the way our system works, you want to roll it on thin. While he's doing that, I want to show you guys the mixing station Cody set up. This is how you want to do it. There's nowhere walking out of this room out to the outside where you're going to step on his other concrete, carpet, whatever you're doing. You want a nice big mixing station, and you want it to go all the way out to where you're not going to worry about stepping in some epoxy or primer and getting it somewhere else that you don't want it to be. Now you could roll it out a little faster if you had spiked shoes on, but again, this is a small room. It's about 500 square feet, and he's just rolling it out without the spiked shoes. But if you're doing big projects, you probably want to get on some spikes so that you can walk out in it and just roll it out real fast. Alright, he's finishing out the floor with the primer coat. We'll put a fan on this room, the floor fan, once we're done, and he'll be coating over it within an hour. You can see how good that already looks. Pigment's amazing, rolls out really easy, dries fast. You cannot beat our primers, top coats, and epoxy. half of the floor and then finish this other half. There's no point in going all the way wall to wall right now, which is at the end. It's always good to have an extension pole. Extension poles are a little bit heavier, so they help coat the floor better, put a little pressure on the rollers, and then obviously you can extend them to do stuff like he's doing right now. You can see how he already got behind the door, rolled out farther on that area behind the door so he can open it and finish out the floor. Alright, so he's gonna pre-mix the part A and pre-mix the metallic colors into it. That way, when we're ready to go, he just has to add the hardener. Instead of trying to add the hardener, then try to mix up the metallic in it, this is just the way to do it. It's going to simplify the whole process for you, make life a lot easier. You can see we got 2 gallons of A. He's pouring out 2 gallons of A right now. Then we're going to mix our metallic pigments into each one of these. Get them mixed nice and good. And then when we're ready to start, just add the part B to each one of these, mix it up, dump it into a fresh bucket, and then pour it out on the floor. And we'll show you that process. We see you scraping the sides, the bottom, getting all of it out that he can. So he's scraping it out and then using the bucket to get it off the paint stick. You don't want to use this 5-gallon bucket because then you get part A on the sides up top here. It's just not a good way to do it. So you use the bucket you're pouring out of to scrape off the paint stick. The quart size jugs we send out, half of it goes to each 3-gallon kit. So we've separated the jars out into half, and then he's just gonna pour them into each 3-gallon kit and mix it up. You want to try to keep your mixing pedal all the way in the epoxy. Try not to bring it out, and it'll just induce a bunch of air into it. So if you do take it out like that, you can spin it slow. You just don't want to go fast. I was going to take his paint stick, scrape the edges. Now remember, he hasn't added the hardener, so this stuff's not going to set up. You can pre-mix these the night before, but just remember, once you add that hardener, it's go time. Epoxy doesn't wait for nobody, not even Leggari. Alright guys, we're getting ready to add the hardener. Everything's ready to go. Rollers, paintbrushes, spike shoes. So we're gonna add the hardener into this, and then once we mix that up for 1 to 2 minutes, we're gonna add it into a brand new bucket, and then we're gonna mix that for another 30 seconds, then go dump it on the floor, because all this part A that's on the side of the buckets, it's never gonna get mixed in all the way. So pouring it into a fresh bucket minimizes any soft spots, any issues that you might have, and we can also dump this bucket upside down and get everything out and not waste any. So here we go, he's gonna add the hardener. Cody with Valdez Creations, he doesn't take, he always measures his stuff out. He doesn't just put the buckets together. You can, but he never wants to have an issue with something not getting hard or not having the right amount. So as you can see, he's got everything measured out. That way he knows it's perfect amount, part A and part B. Alright guys, so he's got his hardener in there. He's gonna mix that up for about 2 minutes, scraping the sides, scraping the bottom with the paint stick, and then he's gonna dump it into a fresh bucket. And we teach this because you do not want soft spots in your floor where the hardener didn't get mixed up with the part A or vice versa. Take the extra time, spend a little extra money, get some extra buckets, and this is gonna ensure that you have a flawless floor that gets hard everywhere and you don't have any issues with it. All right, now he's gonna add that into this brand new bucket. He'll scrape the sides, get all the stuff out that he can, and then he'll mix it for another 30 seconds. And this is very crucial, guys. You got to get in the habit of doing this every time. You don't want to just try to mix up the epoxy in one bucket and go dump it out. Always dump it into a fresh, clean bucket, scrape it again. See how he's scraping all the sides, getting everything out of that he can. So we got about 450 square feet we're doing. We're gonna be using 9 gallons of part for the base coat. So we're gonna mix this up, go dump it out on the floor, come back, mix the next one, dump out the next section, mix the third one, dump out the next section, and then we'll go and squeegee it all out, roll it real quick, and then we'll mix up our highlights, and then be good to go. We're doing Seahawks colors, guys. Seattle Seahawks. So that's it. He's got it scraped out good. You're never gonna get it all out. Now he's gonna mix it for another 30 seconds, up to a minute. That's it, guys. So now we're gonna go dump this out on the floor, get it out of the bucket. You got a lot more working time when you get it out on the floor, and then we're gonna come back, mix up our next 2 batches, and just repeat the process. Notice how he stirs that out and gets a lot of the epoxy off, and then he sets it in the bucket. That way it's not dripping over everywhere. All right, so now we're gonna go dump it on the floor. And he's probably gonna go right before that door threshold. That's probably about a quarter of the room. Just gonna pour it out wall to wall. And it's always good to put tape on the wall so you know how far each kit is gonna go. But it's such a small room. So now he can leave that bucket upside down and let it all drip out because he's mixed it into a fresh bucket. And that's key, guys. Never, ever just mix in one bucket and dump it upside down because you're gonna have soft spots on the floor. Just get in the habit of mixing it up in one bucket, adding it to a fresh bucket, and mixing it again. We can't emphasize and stress that enough. All right, so now we got that. Now we're gonna go mix up the next batch. And we'll just keep repeating the process. So I'm not gonna film all this, but we'll turn it off and then we'll go film us spreading it out and add the highlights. All right, so we got all the beads poured out. Now he's just squeegeeing it all out, getting it fairly even, and then he's gonna roll over it with the 18-inch roller, even it all out. You can almost use any squeegee. These are magic trowels. They work awesome. They come in all different lengths. You can get them on Amazon. It's probably the best place to get them. He's got spike shoes on right now. Got spikes on it, keeping them off the ground. Or you can use cleats, metal cleats. You just, after you use them a couple times, they do get slippery, they get flattened off. So you want to always grind them, get them, always have them a nice point, sharp point that keeps it from getting slippery out here. And then don't worry if you can see through the floor. You're still gonna roll it out. It's still gotta get a lot more even when it's done rolling it. And once you get it out on the floor like this, you got anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes per kit mix. So we did this pretty fast. It's not a huge room, but when you're doing big sections, you always want to split it up into sections. Get the base coat down, then add your highlights to that section. And then once you're done, you move on to the next section, do your base coat, add your highlights, and keep moving down the line like that, and that'll ensure that you always have some fresh epoxy mixed up. It's not getting sticky on you and stiff.
I sat down by the ocean. It's that tears that I feel up with emotions. Could I taste them for real? Longing for you, oh, but I can't get back. What can I do, oh, when your train is gone? I don't wanna go back, don't wanna go.
So we're just continuing the process. He's just spread it out with the squeegee. And you can tell where it's thicker or it's thinner. Like these light spots are obviously thinner. You can see some puddles here. So he's just spread it out real quick, and then he's gonna just hit the whole floor real quick. And then we'll get the roller out, roll over it, and then we'll go mix the highlights up. Notice how he's getting right up to his edges so he doesn't have to cut them in with a brush or a small roller. That's going to save you a lot of time too. Make sure you're doing that as you go. So now see how he's got the thick piles all the way down the middle there. He'll go spread that out next. And again, it doesn't need to be perfect. So all you're trying to do is just spread it out quickly, and then you're going to get the roller out and finish it out. But you don't want to leave big piles like that. You definitely want to spread those out a little bit like this. Yeah. Alright, so he's almost done here. We'll finish this up. Finish this up and then go to the next step, rolling it out. Alright, so the floor is all squeegeed out. See, it looks pretty good now. Just from squeegeeing. Now he's taking the roller, 18-inch roller, just rolling over it quickly. We call it cross roller, where you go north, south, west, east. Just real fast, doesn't take long. All you're trying to do is just help that even itself out. So he'll finish this up. We'll go mix up the highlights. We'll add the highlights, and then we're going to do a swirl. And we're going to be using our bright green and deep blue, going for the Seahawks theme. Seattle Seahawks. As you can see, that you can't even hear the roller. That means you got a nice even coat everywhere. If it's thin, the roller starts sounding really sticky, and that's what you don't want. If you got spots that are like that, grab the magic trowel or your squeegee and try to pull from a thicker spot and try to get some material in that area. Alright guys, we're going to go mix up some highlights. Looking awesome already. So he's going to cross roll that real quick, and then I'm going to add the highlights. Ready to mix our highlights. All we need is 1.5 gallons. So we just took 1.5 gallons out of the 3-gallon kit right over there. Measured out 1.5 gallons. We're going to mix this up without the metallics. Scrape it all up, pour it into a fresh bucket, and then we'll add the metallics because we're doing 2 different metallics. So we'll just mix it all up with the hardener, pour it into 2 buckets, add each of the color, and then go do our highlights. So here we go. All right, so he's got it mixed up good. He's gonna dump half of that into a fresh bucket. And since we mix such small amounts and we know how to mix, he's just gonna add the color to that bucket. We're not gonna dump it upside down. He scraped the sides really good. So these highlights are for, half of it's for 3 gallons, so we need about a quarter of that, but we're gonna do a little more pigment of the apple because it's such a, just dump it in there, because it's such a light color. So we're gonna use about half of that. That's very good. A little bit more. And if you're doing a lot of sections, big areas, you want to measure it all out, make sure you got the right amount. Now we're adding the deep blue, guys. We've done this so much, we know the right amount to add. He's actually going to add a little more.
When I saw you, I would lose control. Made me feel like there was no tomorrow. Should've told you.
All right, so he's adding the highlights. He's going different directions. He's not doing the same pattern over and over. They're all going different ways, different angles. And he's not putting a lot out right now. He's making sure he's got enough to get it on the whole floor. And then he'll go back and add thicker, add more amounts to each one of the veins. That way you make sure you don't run out. Get half the floor done and then you run out of highlight color. It's not a good outcome. So look at that, I poured a little bit too much out, well guess what? We're gonna pick some of that up and put it somewhere else. That's how simple this is. So now that he's got it pretty even, and notice how he's getting right up to his edges. He's not staying away from the wall everywhere. Make sure you get right up to your edges all over in random spots, because the last thing you want is to swirl your floor and the whole edges, all the perimeter, doesn't have any highlight color. Does not look good. Wow. See, he hasn't even used half of what he had. So now he's gonna go around, try to add a lot thicker veins in every spot he already did.
Did you make it? Did you break free? Did you manage to be who you wanna be? Maybe somewhere.
All right, so now he's adding the green, and it is popping. Look at how bright them colors are. This is Seattle Seahawks, gray, blue, and flow green. So you're basically doing the same thing you did with the blue, dripping it out everywhere, not getting a bunch right off the bat, making sure he's getting it all across the floor. You can also use like a ladle, whatever they were called. People use for cooking. Those work pretty good when you're doing large amounts like this. We just didn't have them, obviously, so I was using a paint stick. This is really that simple, guys. I mean, if you watch the process, there's nothing hard about this. Basically painting the floor with a thick coating. We're adding highlight colors to it. And you can tell by looking around, you don't need to be skilled at doing that. The product does most of the work for you. It levels out, it blends, it marbleizes. It's just an awesome product. So now he's going to go around and add more colors to the green. That way he's got more concentrated green colors everywhere. Now that he knows he's got green over the whole floor. There he is, look at that, getting right to the edges. Like I said before, you don't want to swirl everything and then all your edges look bare with no highlights. All right, so he'll finish up the green and then we'll start swirling it and then show you the top coat tomorrow. All right, now we're swirling the floor, blending the colors. And you can see how it looks right now. But tomorrow when we come back, all those roller lines are gonna be gone. It's gonna be marbleized. The colors are gonna flow together better. It's just gonna look amazing once this material sets up and flows out. Notice how he's going different directions. He's not swirling the same pattern, same strokes over and over. He's going all over the place. That way you don't have patterns. And it's always good to keep the same guy that's swirling, have him finish the whole floor. Because what can happen is you'll have one guy do one section and say they switch. You get another guy doing the rest of the floor, it can look totally different from just the way he swirls. He might swirl bigger strokes, he might swirl lighter, he might swirl heavier. So just always keep the same guy swirling as you go. You see the difference. It's got some lines out here, really simple, and then boom, it's gonna look all marbleized. Blend them together tomorrow once the roller lines go away. And since we're doing a top coat, guys, you can get crazy if you want. You can start adding some spray paint, dripping some spray paint metallic colors into it to give it some cool, create some cool cells. You can drip some acetone, denatured alcohol in it to give it some crater effects. I mean, the sky's the limit with this product. But just keep in mind, if you're ever doing layers like that with different spray paints and even glitter or stuff like that, you always want to do a top coat, lock everything in. Alright, just finishing up the floor. You just keep swirling and working your way out, that way you're not stepping in with cleats. But you can already tell that back where it started, it's already starting to marbleize. And we'll show you, you'll see it tomorrow when we do the top coat. There's not got a lot left to do. We'll get this done and then we'll tune you back in tomorrow to show you the top coat. Alright, so top coat's mixed up, he's getting ready to apply it. He's already sanded the floor. There was some debris in the floor, super windy out. The door kept getting open, so some stuff flew in the epoxy. And he sanded the whole floor. That's another benefit of doing a top coat is the next day if you have any issues with your flooring, sand down the spots, apply the top coat. This floor looks absolutely amazing, guys. Turned out better than the homework could have ever imagined. He's so stoked. Seattle Seahawks game room. So he's dipped and rolling. It's very easy to apply the top coat. He's gonna do all his edges, half of the room, he's gonna do the edges. And then he'll get on the 18-inch roller and go wall to wall. This stuff goes really far, so you want to make sure you put it on really thin. But you can see this top coat, it's already bringing back the colors. You won't be able to tell it's been sanded. And it's going to look high gloss again. Alright, now he's going to get the 18-inch roller saturated using a 3/8 nap. Make sure you get a good roller. De-shed it with the paint, with the painter's tape. Starts in the middle, rolls it out to each wall. He's just going to roll it a couple times, get it nice and feathered out. You can see how it's got a milky haze to it. That's so you can see where you roll. It'll dry perfectly clear, high gloss. Look how awesome this floor is looking, guys. It's bringing all the colors back. You see back there, it's already turning clear, high gloss. It's looking amazing. You can see the difference right here. So just gonna do this one pass here, and then he's gonna get on the small roller, finish out his edges. And then just keep going. You don't want to do the whole room, all your edges. By the time you get done, the spot where you did your edges is already going to be getting sticky and tacky. So just do a little section at a time, do all your edges, and then do the main floor with the 18-inch roller. See how he's overlapping in the last section, and we ensure you get all the floor coated. But you can see how simple this is. All he's doing is dipping and rolling. You don't have to hurry. You got plenty of working time with this product. So now we'll hit the edges with the little one. And again, if you're doing a bigger project, you're obviously going to have more people helping. Have one guy doing the edges. One guy will be rolling. And obviously, if it's a big project, you get a couple guys doing everything. That way, you can just do a lot of square footage at a time. And then take the time, pick stuff out of the floor, don't just roll over it and leave it.
It's too late now, 'cause I'm growing old, but I need you to deal with my sorrow. Just a memory, just a broken frame, and I know that I have no one else to blame.
You can tell he's not just rolling over it quick, he's making sure all the edges are nice and hit. It might take a couple passes to spread that stuff out evenly. You can see the difference right here. Get down on the floor here. So this is obviously sanded, and then after the top coat's applied, you can tell how it brings the color back, makes it super high gloss. And it's still got a milky haze to it because it's drying. It'll be perfectly clear, high gloss in a few hours. But it will look so cool. Seattle Seahawks. Come and get your dinner. Alright guys, so now he's jumping to the back wall. And he's gonna do a section over here so that way he can open the door and work his way out without having to get behind that door. You definitely don't want to work yourself into a corner. Make sure you start from one end and work your way to the door. Because yeah, unless you're on cleats, you gotta make sure you work your way out of the room. Look how cool this looks. Back in the back where we started, it's starting to go clear, and it looks so freaking cool, guys. You can't beat these floors. They're a living floor. That means they're flowing and moving until they're hard. And that's why you get such cool depth, colors. That's why there's all these high and low spots. It looks like it's kind of textured, but it's perfectly flat. You can't get this look with any other system. Alright guys, it's been about a half an hour. I'm standing at the door threshold. Just wanted to show you guys how good this looks after the top coats started setting up and it's gone totally clear. Looks absolutely amazing. You can't beat the look of these floors. That's why we call them a living floor. Just so much depth. Thanks for watching, everyone. Don't forget to subscribe to our channels. Comment below the associated these floor colors, Seattle Seahawks colors.